Welcome. Thank you for joining us for today's video. In this video, we examine the story behind three musicians who are rumored to have sold their souls to the devil for musical prowess, money, and fame. Let's get into it. Throughout history, there have been many rumors about people who have made a pact with the devil. The tale goes that if you go to a crossroad outside of your town at midnight, a dark figure will appear, and you can trade your soul for your heart's desire on earth. This trade is known as a Faustian pact, due to the story from the 16th century of renowned scientist Dr. Faust trading his moral worth for all of the knowledge unknown to him. Today, we will be taking a look at three people who have been accused of trading their souls to Lucifer so that they can gain stardom as musicians and all of the earthly things that come with that fame. Number 1. Robert Johnson. Robert Leroy Johnson was born to a poor family in the Deep South that had been ravaged by the Great Depression. He was one of 11 children in the small town of Hazelhurst, Mississippi. There is not very much information regarding the life of Johnson, other than he would become known as one of the great legends of the blues and possibly the greatest musician of the Delta blues ever. There is much speculation as to the true story of his life and rise to stardom. The story goes that Robert would travel from town to town as a young man, focusing much of his time in the booming blues city of Memphis, Tennessee. It is said that Robert had a reputation as a street corner musician who had talent with a harmonica, but not much regarding the guitar. He would ask popular musicians if he could go on stage with them and be given a chance at making stardom. One night, a couple of musicians told Robert they would take a break and let him play while they had their brief intermission. Rumor says that the crowd was brutal and booed him off the stage. After this incident, Johnson then disappeared. He mysteriously showed back up 6 months later and took the blues scene by storm. His reappearance brought him praise and stardom, and he was rushed into the studio. This is where the 29 tracks that we have from Robert Johnson were created. The story then says that things took a tragic turn for Robert. Supposedly, he was seeing a club owner's lady in secret, so the club owner poisoned Robert's drink, killing him at the age of 27, where he would join Club 27, where many musicians have died at that age. Johnson's legend has grown and grown as time passes, and that is where we get the tale of his deal with the devil. Spirit Daily Blog quotes the story as he was walking near Clarksdale, Mississippi, the young Johnson got lost at the intersection of 49 and 61. Nothing on the horizon, no more to the left than to the right. Not knowing which road to take, and with the oppressive heat, he decided to take a nap along the road. When he began to fall into a deep sleep, a cool breeze came to cherish him. Then the wind became stronger, the sky darkened, and the atmosphere charged itself with electricity. It was an unusual weather for the season. Johnson stood up and looked either side of the intersection. He eventually distinguished a shadow floating in the air. As it moved towards him, his eyes opened wider. Without any noise, nor a word, the shadow bent over and seized Robert's guitar, granted it, and played some divine notes before disappearing, leaving his guitar as well as its talent at the top of the fingers. The pact was sealed. Robert had just sold his soul to the devil in exchange for his dexterity to play the guitar. 2. Giuseppe Tartini. Tartini was born in Italy in 1692. His story states that his parents wanted him to become a friar, so much of his early years were spent in training for this. With his training came lessons in music. Around the year 1710, Tartini's father died, which gave him the opportunity to pursue the things that he desired in his heart. He studied law and married a woman that he knew his father would not approve. She was from a lower class than Giuseppe, which was frowned upon by members of his social class. In marrying this woman, he brought about a serious problem. A very powerful Roman Catholic cardinal desired his young bride. The cardinal accused Tartini of abduction, forcing him to flee persecution by hiding away at a monastery in Assisi. While hiding at the monastery, he started learning to play the violin. This is where it is said that Tartini made his pact with the devil. He would go on to describe his meeting with Satan himself. He said, One night in the year 1713, I dreamed I made a pact with the devil for my soul. Everything went as I wished. My new servant anticipated my every desire. Among other things, I gave him my violin to see if he could play. How great was my astonishment on hearing a sonata so wonderful and so beautiful, played with such great art and intelligence, as I had never even conceived in my boldest flights of fantasy. I felt enraptured, transported, enchanted. My breath failed me, and I awoke. I immediately grasped my violin in order to retain, in part at least, the impression of my dream. In vain. The music which I at this time composed is indeed the best that I ever wrote, and I still call it the Devil's Trill. But the difference between it and that which so moved me so great that I would have destroyed my instrument and have said farewell to music forever, if it had been possible for me to live without the enjoyment it affords me. Giuseppe would go from basic musical knowledge to master of the violin and music composition overnight. Shortly after this supernatural encounter, Giuseppe Tartini would be named the maestro of Basilica di San Antonio. Violinists to this day praise the music composed by Tartini, saying that it is some of the most difficult music to ever be composed. 3. Bob Dylan. On the eve of May 24, 1941, Robert Allen Zimmerman was born in the city of Duluth, Minnesota. Bob loved music early in his life and would often mimic his musical heroes, the likes of Jerry Lewis and Elvis Presley, at his school dances, entertaining the crowd from a young age. Bob would go on to attend the University of Minnesota in the city of Minneapolis. It was at university that he would adopt his stage name, Bob Dylan. The name comes from the character Matt Dillon of the old Western television show of Gunsmoke, not from the Welsh poet Dylan Thomas, whom Bob would say that he hated. Bob Dylan began crafting his unique style while during that time at university. He began playing at cafes, coffee shops, and the occasional bar. The rumors surrounding Dylan making this pact with the devil didn't come from gossip, but straight from Dylan's mouth.
You're still out here doing these songs, you're still on tour.
I do, but I don't take it for granted.
Why do you still do it? Why are you still out here?
Well, it goes back to the destiny thing. I made a bargain with it, a long time ago, and I'm holding up my end.
What was your bargain?
To get where I am now.
Should I ask who you made the bargain with?
with the chief commander.
On this earth?
And on this earth, and then in a world we can't see.
Throughout history, there have been accusations in all walks of life of people selling their soul for money, fame, and power. Whether you believe this is possible or not, you must think twice when being presented with the stories we have today. The question is, have you ever made that trek to the crossroads outside of town at midnight? Thank you so much for joining us for today's video. Please like, subscribe, share, and post a comment. Until the next one.